I'm going to start replying to people's comments with videos. Not everyone, obviously, and I don't know how to put like multiple comments in a video. I've seen people do that. I don't know how to do that. So I'm just going to pick one random one and then just sort of reply to everyone that had the same question in that video, if that makes sense. And I'm doing this one first because it really stood out because it was so different than every other comment. But what they say, how I got into plants. I got into plants just over 5 years ago. It was during COVID. Actually, I had the date. I wrote it down. I got my first 6 plants on the 6th of September 2020. So now it's October 2025. Just over 5 years ago, I started collecting plants. And prior to that, I knew nothing about plants. In my mind, a leaf of a plant was just like that, like oval shaped leaf that you see, like you draw as a kid kind of thing. That's all a leaf was to me. I knew nothing about them. Didn't know what they looked like. Didn't know what they could come like. I didn't know about variegation. I didn't know anything like that. But I had the idea of renovating this wall behind me. It used to be like this fake wooden looking thing with weird lighting across it and stuff. It was awful. So I just put up a whole new wall here and then put some shelving, as you can see. And then that shelving, I had the idea of having like a cascade of green coming down. So I ended up going to Bunnings and got some plants. I don't know if I'm gonna like show what plants they were. Probably not in this video, maybe one day. And I ended up not finding what I wanted, but I found because I went to Bunnings and looked and I found these plants that had red in them and stuff. And I was like, this is insane. How are these real? Short story long, obviously. It was too dark in here because of the brown wall, and this room doesn't get light because it's a really long room. I was going to walk all the way, but you don't need to see everything in this room. It doesn't get a lot of light here, even though it's reflecting off the car outside there right now. The plants were dying, basically. So I had to not have them there. But anyway, I got the plants, come home, and I started researching how to take care of the plants. This is turning into a long video, I do apologize, but you need to know the backstory. You asked. And I still didn't really know anything about them. It was like watering, blah, blah, blah. I was like, okay. And light. And I was like, does the ceiling light work? Not really. But then the thing that hooked me was I found out about propagation and how you can grow another plant from a cutting of another plant. And I was like, excuse me? What? So ultimately one plant can make infinite amount of plants, essentially. But yeah, that blew my mind. And also, what was the other thing I was going to say on that? The fact that a plant can essentially live forever via propagation, because propagating is cloning that plant. It just blew my mind. I had no idea that this was a thing that could happen. And because I am a 90s kid, I have and I grew up with Pokemon, and I have this really bad addictive personality in the sense that I've got to collect them all kind of thing. I spiraled, and within 2 months of starting to get plants, I had 200 plants. So that's what got me into plants. There's still some plants that I love that I just don't grow anymore, like peperomia. I think they're so pretty, but I just can't grow them because you've got to treat them all like succulents, and I water all my plants together. And if they're not going to grow with the requirements that I give every plant, then I'm just not going to keep them, unfortunately. But yeah, and the second part of your question was, how did elusive plants start? It's because I was propagating plants, and I was like, okay, I have way too many plants now, too many of the same plants. So I just started chucking them on Facebook Marketplace, and I was like, I can get some money from doing this. Elusive plants didn't actually start until, I want to say 2023 though. I was selling plants on Facebook Marketplace for maybe a year prior to elusive plants. So I did thankfully have a little bit of a following on Facebook Marketplace. Not massive, and Instagram. I would occasionally sell things on Instagram. But yeah, once I created the business itself, things just in my life took a completely different turn. And then my focus became that. And yeah, the rest is history. I also just want to quickly say that when I first started collecting plants, I was really cheesy, and I used to get my friends to name all of the plants and give them names. That's what that means. Why did I just say that twice? And then also I got my friends to then come up with a backstory for each plant. And I would print them out and put them in little envelopes, and I would have them sitting in front of the plants. Like the little tiny little envelopes were sitting. I was gonna try and find them. I did try and find them, but I couldn't find them. I'd have to have a better look. I know where they are. They're in a drawer somewhere, but I just couldn't see them because I've kept them, obviously. So if I should read them at some point, that'd be pretty funny. And there was something else that I wanted to quickly add before I ended this, even though it's getting way too long. Yeah. Back when I started selling plants, it was a completely different market. It was so much easier to sell plants then than what it is now because of the COVID boom. Now, I feel like nobody's into plants that much. Obviously, people still are. People will always be into plants. But the hype around it has definitely faded. Yeah, it's just not the same market as what it used to be.